It was not a battle, not a plague, not fire raining down from heaven. It was a voice behind him, like the blast of a trumpet. And when he turned, the heavens opened, and the end began. The year is 95 AD. Emperor Domitian rules Rome with an iron fist. In his decrees, he demands more than obedience. He demands worship. Imperial temples overflow with incense, statues, and forced greetings. Hail Caesar, Lord and God. Refusal is not an option. Refusal is treason. And among those who refuse is one man who resists without an army, without riots, without violence, an old man, weathered by years, with eyes that do not waver. His name is John, disciple of the crucified Galilean, the last living apostle, and now a prisoner. They send him far from the mainland, across the restless Aegean Sea, to a barren rock beaten by the wind, Patmos. A desolate island crawling with snakes and scorpions, a dumping ground for Rome's unwanted. No walls, no bars, because escape is impossible. Patmos is a sentence without return.
Patmos wasn't a prison with cells. It was exile in open air, a place for those whose death would cost the empire too much. John was revered among Christians. Killing him could spark rebellion. Silencing him seemed safer.
But in that forced silence, something exploded. Not in the skies, in the soul of John.
I was in the Spirit on the Lord's day, and I heard behind me a loud voice like a trumpet. I turned to see the voice that spoke to me, and what I saw was not of this world.
In a vision unmatched in Scripture, John beholds the risen Christ, not as the suffering servant, but as the glorious judge. Eyes like flames, hair white as wool. A voice like the roar of mighty waters. A face shining like the sun. John, who once walked beside Jesus, now trembles before his heavenly power.
And when I saw him, I fell at his feet as though dead.
But this was not his grave. It was his commission. The voice commands him to write. Not a simple letter, but a prophetic testimony. A coded message for 7 churches: Ephesus, Smyrna, Pergamum, Thyatira, Sardis, Philadelphia, and Laodicea. Real communities, cities you can still walk through today. Others had grown lukewarm, but to all, John sends an urgent message.
He spoke to us of the one who holds the stars. He reminded us of a crown that is not made of laurel leaves. And when the Roman soldiers came for us, we were not afraid, because we knew God was already speaking from the other side.
To first-century Christians, this message was not a threat. It was comfort. They had no power, no temples, no armies, only promises. A voice telling them, the throne is not empty. The Lamb has overcome. But John didn't only write to the churches, he wrote what he saw. And what he saw was a chain of visions so vivid, so strange, that even today they puzzle theologians, artists and scientists alike. Beasts, earth-shattering cataclysms. Angels with bowls of fire. Countless multitudes singing hymns. And a judgment already in motion.
You have to understand, Revelation doesn't stand alone. It's woven from threads of older prophecies. Daniel, Ezekiel, Isaiah. John isn't inventing symbols, he's reinterpreting them. It's as if the entire Old Testament breathes through him, but with an intensity we've never seen before.
Revelation is not a straight line. It's circular, symbolic, often poetic. But beneath the imagery lies a clear message. History is not out of control. Even when the world looks like it's falling apart, God has not lost his hold on it.
When he read the words aloud to me, the room seemed to tremble. He said he saw a lamb standing as though slain, and that all in heaven sang, "You are worthy to take the scroll and to open its seals."
The scroll, the very heart of the vision. A sealed scroll, 7 seals. No one could open it. No one except one. A lamb scarred from battle, carrying absolute authority. The message is unmistakable. Power does not rest in Rome, nor in the ruins of Jerusalem's temple, nor in the hands of kings. It rests in the one who was crucified and now reigns.
Write then the things you have seen, the things that are, and the things that will take place after this.
And he wrote, in an age without printing presses, without platforms, without freedom. John wrote from a cave on a forgotten island, and somehow those words reached us, because they were never meant only for the churches of Asia. They are for all who have ever felt that evil rules, that the world is broken, that God is silent. But the voice from Patmos says the opposite. God speaks, God sees, God will judge, and so it begins, not with fire, but with a vision, not with catastrophe, but with a warning, a promise, wrapped in mystery. Soon we will rise into heaven. There, a throne blazes, a vast hall sings, and in the center, a scroll waits. A voice asks the question that still echoes through eternity. Who is worthy to open the scroll and break its seals? What John saw did not belong to the earth or to any heaven his eyes had known. It wasn't a hall like the temple, nor an imperial palace of marble and gold. It was a scene suspended in eternity, where the center of the universe appeared, not as an idea, but as a living presence. After delivering the messages to the 7 churches, John wasn't told to preach, act, or answer. Instead, he received an invitation beyond human understanding, a voice from heaven itself, calling him to come up. In an instant, his spirit was carried not to another place on earth, but to a realm where time, matter, and language dissolved before the mystery of the divine.
I saw a door standing open in heaven, and I heard the voice say, "Come up here and I will show you what must take place."
That door did not open to a date in history, but to the very heart of creation, where the visible and invisible meet in a single moment of revelation. And there, at the center, John saw the source of all things, a throne. It was no symbol, it was the origin of all authority, surrounded by flashes of lightning, peals of thunder, and voices that echoed with power without beginning or end. Before it burned 7 lamps, the fullness of God's Spirit, and stretching out like a sacred mirror, a crystal sea stood between the Creator and all creation.
The throne scene isn't mystical fantasy. It's a declaration of ultimate order. What John sees is not the chaos of judgment, but the certainty that all things, including judgment itself, are under absolute rule.
Around the throne sat 24 elders, clothed in white and crowned with gold. Some say they represent the 12 patriarchs of the Old Covenant. Others see them as the full assembly of the redeemed. Whatever their identity, their role is clear. Every crown must be laid before a greater glory. Beside them, 4 living creatures caught John's gaze, one with the face of a lion, another of an ox, the third of a man, and the 4th of an eagle in flight. Covered in eyes, they miss nothing. They are not mythical beasts, but living symbols of knowledge, strength, sacrifice, and sovereignty surrounding the throne. Their single purpose is to proclaim unceasingly and with perfect certainty that the one who reigns on the throne is holy, eternal, almighty. But then, among the thunder and praise, John notices something else. In the right hand of the one seated there is a scroll with 7 seals. In Roman law, Such a scroll meant a sealed testament or secret decree, opened only by one with rightful authority.
I saw a mighty angel proclaim in a loud voice, "Who is worthy to open the scroll and break its seals?"
The question strikes like lightning, but there is no answer. No one in heaven, on earth, or under the earth can open it. No one even dares to look at it. And in that silence, John weeps, not from curiosity, but because he understands what the scroll contains: the completion of history, judgment, justice, the fulfillment of promises, the restoration of all that was lost. If it stays closed, history itself remains frozen. Evil goes unpunished, death unchallenged, pain unanswered.
This moment is a breaking point in the vision and in the whole biblical narrative. It's the instant humanity through John realizes it cannot save itself. No angel, no sage, no king can open the scroll. The answer must come from beyond.
When hope seems gone, one of the elders speaks, breaking the silence with a voice that shakes heaven itself.
Do not weep. The Lion of the tribe of Judah, the Root of David, has triumphed. He is able to open the scroll.
The Lion, messianic figure promised since Jacob's time, a symbol of royal power, justice, and victory. But John does not see a lion. There is no roar, no charge. Instead, he sees a lamb.
I saw a lamb looking as if slain, standing in the center of the throne.
Not a wounded lamb, but one marked by sacrifice, yet alive, victorious, and glorified. He does not rule by force, but by obedience. His scars are his authority, and it is this lamb, not the lion expected, who steps forward without resistance and takes the scroll. At that moment, everything changes. Heaven trembles, the living creatures fall, the elders bow, and a voice, strong and clear, pierces the expanse.
You are worthy to take the scroll and to open its seals, because you were slain.
This is no rehearsed anthem. It is the only fitting response to the one act that has truly conquered death. Worship here is not sentiment, it is recognition. Heaven honors not sheer power, but redeeming sacrifice. And there, between judgment and glory, between time and eternity, the Lamb holds the scroll, the same no one could open. The same that has waited since before the ages. The seals remain unbroken, but something has already shifted. For the silence now is different. It is not peace, it is tension, the held breath of heaven before the inevitable. They carried no banners, they raised no proclamations, no one summoned them, and yet they came. One by one, they emerged, not from the deserts of the world, but from the seals of a book closed for centuries. They did not ride for glory, but by decree, not to conquer at will, but to fulfill what was written. And once they rode, nothing was ever the same. When the Lamb took the scroll, the silence of heaven turned into a breathless pause, as if angels, stars, and men alike stood at the edge of an unseen abyss. The first seal broke, and then a voice. One of the four living creatures, those strange beings around the eternal throne, with wings, eyes, and impossible forms, spoke with a voice like thunder. "Come!"
And I looked, and there before me was a white horse. Its rider held a bow, and a crown was given to him, and he rode out as a conqueror, bent on conquest.
This first rider has stirred endless debate. The white horse recalls victorious kings, triumphant generals, purity and power. But who is he? Some see Christ riding as the Word of God. Others see the Antichrist, forging a counterfeit peace. Still others see ideological conquest, ideas disguised as truth. Whatever his identity, his arrival marks the start of an irreversible imbalance.
The white horse doesn't simply represent military victory. It's the arrival of a power that dominates, often without open resistance. It invades the established order, appearing just, but its true nature is revealed only in time.
Before the vision can be fully grasped, the second seal breaks. The second living creature calls with the same word, "Come!" A second rider appears, mounted on a horse red as blood. This rider is given no crown, but a sword, and with it, the power to take peace from the earth.
I ride on the horse as red as fire. I was given power to wrest peace and make men kill one another. In my hand is the sword that brings war.
This is no warrior seeking glory or defense. This rider brings unleashed conflict, violence without reason, wars not born from necessity. When he rides, no border is secure, no treaty holds, yet the scroll does not pause. The Lamb breaks the third seal. The third living creature calls, "Come!" This time, the horse is black. Its rider carries no weapon, no crown, only a pair of scales.
I looked, and there before me was a black horse. Its rider was holding a pair of scales in his hand. Then I heard a voice among the four living creatures saying, "A quart of wheat for a day's wage, and 3 quarts of barley for a day's wage, but do not damage the oil and the wine."
No blood is shed here, only scarcity. The scales do not weigh justice, but survival. A heavenly voice names impossible prices. Inflation devouring the worker, inequality multiplying hunger. Famine, not as punishment, but as consequence. A seal fulfilled.
The third rider reveals a deep truth. Economic collapse isn't always caused by war. It can come from systems already unbalanced. Wheat, the essential, becomes unreachable. But oil and wine, luxuries, remain untouched. It's a portrait of elites immune to suffering.
The fourth seal breaks. The final living creature calls, "Come!" But now the air changes. The sky drains of color. No scent of earth, no wind. What comes next is death, and following close behind, Hades.
I looked, and there before me was a pale horse, its color sickly green. Its rider was named Death, and Hades followed close behind him. They were given power over a fourth of the earth, to kill by sword, famine, plague, and by the wild beasts of the earth.
This fourth rider is not a cause. He is the sum of all causes. The false peace, the war, the famine, all end here. His horse is not golden yellow but chloros, the green of lifeless flesh. The power he wields extends beyond war to plague, to the collapse of creation itself. Hades follows not as shadow but as reaper. Where he passes, the ground sinks, and the silence is a grave. 4 riders, 4 horses, 4 seals broken, and the most unsettling truth: no one stopped them. No one questioned their coming. No one protested. Because they were not sent by mistake. They did not escape by chance. They were summoned, and what they bring is not the beginning of a nightmare, but the unveiling of a reality. One that may have been riding all along. In their wake, no flowers grow. No temples rise. No cities are built. Only dust remains, and questions no one dares answer. For in their gallop, there is more than judgment. There is warning and memory. of all that humanity has already done, and of what, perhaps, it will not be able to stop itself from doing again. It was not a visible sign that marked the beginning of this hidden judgment. No fire descended from heaven, nor did lightning pierce the darkness. No trumpets were heard, no mountains were shattered. It was something far more unsettling, something that slipped between the folds of time and the temple, like a persistent whisper rising from the deepest place. A cry that does not come from the living, nor from the dead, but from those whose blood still speaks. For beneath the heavenly altar, where the incense of prayers burns, the memory of those who were faithful until the end also burns. The Lamb broke the fifth seal, and the spectacle of violence and chaos many might have anticipated never came. There were no armies, there were no disasters. What appeared was an altar, and beneath it voices, voices of martyrs, human voices, recognizable, yet eternal. Souls that have not vanished, nor been erased by history. They are still there, aware, complete, alive in their waiting. They do not demand revenge like a defeated enemy. They do not beg for justice like one who has lost all hope. Their cry is different. It is the constant echo of a truth endured, a truth for which they lived and for which they died.
I saw under the altar the souls of those who had been slain for the word of God and for the testimony they held, and they cried out with a loud voice, "How long, O Lord, holy and true, will you not judge and avenge our blood on those who dwell on the earth?"
These are not ghostly souls or faceless shadows. They are witnesses. They are real names with stories, with specific sorrows. And what they ask for is not destruction. They ask that their sacrifice be acknowledged, that heaven remember their steps, that their spilled blood would have an eternal echo.
When my body fell, I thought it was over. But here, beneath this burning altar, I discovered that my voice was not extinguished. Here there is no time, only memory, and though we have not been avenged, we have been clothed in white. That is enough for now.
And so it happens. To each is given a white robe, not as an ornament, but as a heavenly declaration. Heaven clothes them, recognizes them, honors them, but to that honor is added a disturbing phrase, a pause.
Rest a little longer, until the number of your brothers who are to be killed, as you were, is complete.
There is no haste at the throne. Divine justice is not rushed. It is precise. And for that reason, it is not yet finished. The story has not reached its climax. More witnesses are needed, more voices, more faithful blood that will seal time itself. And then the Lamb breaks the sixth seal, and what is unleashed is no longer voices nor symbols. Now it is the very structure of creation that begins to collapse. There is no refuge on earth, no stability in the heavens. Everything that once seemed fixed is transformed. The sun, source of all known life, turns black as sackcloth. A darkness not merely the absence of light, but a heavenly morning. The moon turns red like blood, a reversed mirror of the altar. And the stars, those the ancients thought eternal, fall, as if their time too had ended.
And I saw when he opened the sixth seal, and there was a great earthquake. The sun became black like sackcloth, the moon like blood, and the stars of the sky fell to the earth as a fig tree drops its untimely figs when shaken by a mighty wind.
But it is not only the heavens. The earth responds. The mountains, which for centuries had sustained empires, slide away. The islands are hidden, and the known geographic order dissolves like sand through fingers. And before this collapse, kingdoms, armies, sages, all tremble. For there is nowhere to hide, no system that can protect them, no knowledge that can explain it. And then, when all pride is gone, the only request is not to see his face.
Fall on us, mountains and rocks. Hide us from the face of him who sits on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb.
The supreme fear is not the collapse of the earth. It is not the end of the stars. It is the gaze of the Lamb. The one who was despised, wounded, humiliated, now stands as judge. Not as a cruel avenger, but as the one who returns to claim what was denied.
We thought his meekness was weakness. We laughed at his silence, his cross, his surrender. But when I saw him, there was no strength in me. There was no army, no glory, no crown, only judgment.
And then, like a dagger in the midst of silence, one question arises, one that pierces all human security. One that does not seek an immediate answer, but a reaction. One that strikes the conscience. The great day of his wrath has come. And who can stand? Heaven remains silent. The white robes await their moment. The altar still burns with the memory of the faithful, and humanity has stopped speaking. There was a moment when everything stopped. Not a word, not a song, not even a sigh crossed the vastness of heaven. The movement of wings ceased, the angelic choirs fell silent, and even the murmur of the crystal waters was suspended. It was as if all creation had held its breath, fearing to break a moment that does not belong to the time of men. That moment was not accidental. It was not the product of chance or celestial weariness. It was deliberate, sacred. For the Lamb had broken the seventh seal, and with it, the most feared threshold of all revelation was opened. John, still shaken by what he had seen in the previous seals, finds himself enveloped in a supernatural calm. He describes that silence as lasting about half an hour. But it is not an ordinary chronological measure. It is a silence that transcends clocks, an interval that exists outside the human pulse. Half an hour that becomes eternity. Half an hour that weighs, that oppresses, that announces something that has not yet happened, but already feels inevitable.
When the Lamb opened the seventh seal, there was silence in heaven for about half an hour.
Some believe it was a moment of reverence, others that it was the prelude to the final judgment. But there are those who claim that this silence is the echo of the Creator himself, pausing, as if the entire universe awaited his next word.
For what was about to come demanded absolute silence, a silence more eloquent than any proclamation.
After that instant, John beholds 7 angels standing before God. They are not anonymous figures, but heralds designated to execute judgment. Each one receives a trumpet. They are not instruments of praise, but of warning. Each note they will play will be a blow against the earth, a reminder that heaven does not remain silent forever. But before any of them sound, an 8th angel appears in the vision. He does not carry a trumpet, but a golden censer. His mission is different.
It was given much incense to offer with the prayers of all the saints.
on the golden altar before the throne.
The smoke rises, mingling with the prayers of the saints, ascending like an invisible bridge between earth and the throne. This gesture reveals that even in the midst of judgment, communion with God is not interrupted. But suddenly, the scene changes in tone. The angel takes the censer, fills it with fire from the altar, and throws it down upon the earth. The silence is broken with an explosion that resounds in every realm of creation.
And there were peals of thunder, rumblings, flashes of lightning, and an earthquake.
What was once the fragrance of prayer now becomes the fire of judgment. The altar ceases to be only a place of intercession and becomes the starting point of divine sentence.
In that moment, we understood that the prayers had not only been heard, they had been answered. But the answer did not come as a word of comfort, but as a thunder of justice.
The 7 angels with the trumpets remain motionless, like guardians of a power that has not yet been released. Each one knows the magnitude of what they hold in their hands. There is no rush, for the sequence that is about to unfold cannot be reversed. The first of them, though still silent, seems to gaze upon the earth with eyes that pierce nations, oceans, and deserts. He knows that when his trumpet sounds, the grass will burn, the trees will fall, and nature itself will bear the mark of wrath.
Creation has groaned for centuries. Soon its groan will become a reply, not out of cruelty, but out of justice.
Here something profound is revealed. The earth is not only a stage for the human drama, it is also a victim and a witness. It has absorbed the blood, the pain, and the injustices of generations. And now, it will return what has been imposed upon it. This silence, which began as a sacred pause, is revealed as surgical preparation, a calculated instant before the definitive incision. It is not hesitation, it is precision. Every act is measured, every step ordained before the world existed. And while heaven holds that final second of calm, the prayers keep rising, but the answer has already been decreed. The 7th seal did not bring forth an army or an immediate cataclysm. It brought something far more unsettling, a silence that announced that the time of waiting had ended. That silence was the bell marking the start of the final phase of judgment. A silence that asks for no explanation, offers no warning, it simply is. When heaven is silent, the earth trembles. When heaven is silent, men lose their refuge. For there is no word that can stand between the divine decision and its fulfillment. Heaven remains standing. The angels remain aligned. The censer has fallen, and now there is only to listen. That silence did not end there. It stretched like an invisible shadow over all creation, preparing every heart for the inevitable. No one knows how long it will last in our measure of time, but its echo still resounds. And while it resounds, all of heaven awaits the moment when that silence will be broken. Not by a word, but by a roar. There is no music, there is no choir, only waiting. 7 angels stand before the throne of God, each holding a trumpet, not crafted for melodies, but for sentences. All of heaven seems to lean forward, as if sharing the same premonition. What is about to sound will not be a song, but the roar of judgment. It is not an empty instant. It is the blade of history, an invisible boundary separating what humanity has known from what it has never seen. In this suspended scene, angelic hands do not tremble. They know that when they blow, the order of the earth will change forever. Throughout Scripture, trumpets have marked decisive moments. They summoned to war, announced victories, proclaimed the presence of a king. But these are different. Each blast will be a strike upon the earth, an unmistakable sign that heaven will remain silent no longer. 7 messengers, 7 acts, each more severe than the one before. And while the incense of the prayers continues to rise, the first angel steps forward.
Before the world was founded, this moment was written. The fire I hold is not mine. It comes from the altar. When I blow, it is not my breath that burns. It is the justice of the one who sent me.
Then a burst of sound cuts through the silence. Hail and fire, mixed with blood, fall upon the earth. 1/3 of the trees is consumed, and all green grass is burned. Roots ignite. Smoke rises like a lament from creation itself. This is not blind destruction. It is the answer to centuries of corruption, violence, and contempt for the work of God. The second angel raises his trumpet, and something like a great burning mountain is hurled into the sea. The waters boil, 1/3 of the sea turns to blood. Fish float lifeless, waves carry debris and foam stained red, and the ships that once sailed proudly sink as if an invisible hand had broken them.
I was on deck when the sky split open with a sound that wasn't thunder. I saw the burning mass fall into the water, and the sea became a grave. The smell, it was not just salt and death. It was as if the very blood of the world had been spilled there.
The sea, symbol of life and trade, becomes a sign of ruin. The current that once united nations now carries the message of judgment. The third angel sounds his trumpet, and from the sky falls a great star blazing like a torch. Its name is Wormwood, and it falls upon 1/3 of the rivers and springs of water. What once refreshed now turns bitter. Those who drink become sick and die.
The waters have been silent witnesses to human works, wars, sacrifices, broken oaths. Now they drink what they have sown. There is no poison more bitter than justice when it is rejected.
The name Wormwood evokes extreme bitterness. The springs, symbols of blessing, are transformed into bearers of death. This is not only physical thirst, it is a spiritual warning. What is defiled in the heart will defile everything it touches. The 4th trumpet sounds, and an invisible blow strikes 1/3 of the sun, the moon, and the stars. Light fades, days grow shorter, and nights become denser. Humanity, accustomed to the regularity of the celestial cycles, faces an altered reality.
It was midday, but the sun seemed weary. The shadows grew until they covered everything, and the cold arrived before the evening. In the darkness, you hear things. Footsteps that aren't there. Voices that don't come from men.
Light, a constant gift since creation, withdraws partially. It is a reminder that even the cosmic order responds to the Creator, and that nothing, not even the sun, is immutable before His will. Then John sees something remarkable. An eagle flying in mid-heaven, proclaiming with a loud voice, "Woe, woe, woe to those who dwell on the earth, because of the remaining trumpet blasts that the 3 angels are about to sound."
I am not a messenger of hope, but a herald of lament. What you have seen is only a prelude. What comes will be heavier than what the human heart can bear.
The triple woe is not poetic exaggeration. It is the precise measure of what is yet to come. It is an echo traveling over mountains and seas, preparing the whole earth for what follows. The first 4 trumpets do not destroy the entire world. They wound it, shake it, awaken it. They are warnings, blows that make it clear the time for indifference is running out.
I have seen the patience of God, and I have seen his justice. Today, the earth hears the first notes of a symphony it does not wish to hear. But even now, there are still those who might turn their eyes toward him.
The echo of the trumpets lingers in the air, as if the hills themselves were repeating it. The smoke from the sea, the bitterness of the waters, the dimming of the heavens, all merge into a new landscape, marked by signs that cannot be ignored. There is no haste in heaven. The angels remain firm, trumpets in hand, while the world holds its breath. In the depths, something is preparing, but no one can say whether what comes will be sound or silence. The echo of the triple "Woe! Woe! Woe!" cried out by the eagle still lingers in the air, like an invisible wound that pierces both heaven and earth. There is no wind to stir the leaves, no birds to break the sky with their flight. Even the light itself seems to hold its breath, as though the universe awaits the decree of an unseen judge. In that silence, there is no peace, only the tension of centuries, as if invisible walls are about to give way before a force long restrained. The shadow of an angel steps forward from among the heavenly assembly. His expression does not reflect the impulsive wrath of men, but the cold and sacred resolve of one who fulfills a command that can neither be revoked nor delayed. In his hands he holds a trumpet, an instrument that, throughout the history of God's people, has signaled both warning and war. But this time, the sound will not summon praise nor proclaim victory. It will be the signal to open a portal that should never have been opened again. The 5th angel lifts the trumpet toward the heavens, and his breath flows through the metal like a restrained thunderclap that, instead of bursting outward, penetrates to the marrow of all who hear it. It is a deep, grave sound, resonating in stone, in earth, and in flesh itself. As the last echo fades, a star falls from heaven to the earth. It does not blaze like a meteor. It descends with purpose. It is a being, and into his hands is placed a key. The key to the shaft of the abyss, a place mentioned in ancient visions as the prison of rebellious forces that even the floodwaters could not erase.
This imprisonment was not unjust. Here they were confined when the rebellion was still young, before the waters covered the world. They have waited in darkness thicker than night, and today the gates will yield.
The key turns, and the seal that has endured for millennia breaks with a sound that belongs to no earthly world. From the abyss rises smoke so dense it blots out the sun and poisons the air, spreading like a dark tide over the earth. From the smoke emerge creatures that defy all biological logic, resembling locusts, yet of the size and strength of trained war horses. They wear crowns, have human faces, hair like that of women, teeth like lions, and tails with stingers like scorpions. They have not come to tear down walls or burn fields, but to inflict a selective torment, only upon those who do not bear the seal of God on their foreheads.
I thought they would be like the plagues of Egypt, destroying crops or animals. But no, it was not famine, not pestilence, not swords. It was a pain that went straight to the soul. Their stings burned from within as if every nerve were set aflame, and though we begged to die, death looked at us and passed us by.
For 5 months the torment endures, 5 months in which dawn brings no relief, for the light itself is veiled by smoke, and night offers no rest, for the beating of their wings heralds their return. There is no refuge to shield from them, no wall to contain them. Those who bear the seal of God remain untouched. A living reminder to the world that even in judgment, mercy draws invisible boundaries.
I have counted each day. I hoped the sun would drive away the darkness, but its light was pale and sickly. When night fell, the hum in the air stole my sleep, and then they came again.
Just as they came, the locusts vanish. They return to the smoke, and the key seals the abyss once more. But the air remains heavy, as if breathing with difficulty. This is not peace. It is a pause. The 6th angel steps forward. His gaze fixes upon the great river Euphrates, the ancient border of empires and the stage of decisive wars. A voice not his own commands, "Release the 4 angels bound at the great river Euphrates."
We were restrained, not for lack of strength, but because the appointed hour had not yet come. Now the hour sounds clear, and our path will be as wide as the earth itself.
The 4 angels are released. Their mission has been set with precision. 1 year, 1 month, 1 day, and 1 exact hour. Behind them unfolds an army beyond all human imagining, 200 million horsemen. In the ancient world, such a number was impossible, but in this vision, it embodies a judgment without precedent. The horses they ride have heads like lions, and from their mouths pour fire, smoke, and sulfur that consume all in their path.
There was no horizon, only a sea of movement. The ground shook before I could see them. The air burned with what they exhaled, and I saw entire cities fall without a single sword striking them, only from the breath of those beasts.
A third of mankind falls under this judgment. Trade routes are emptied, fields turn to ash, and the seas mirror a sky reddened by smoke. There is no safe refuge, for the advance crosses borders, mountains and oceans without pause. And yet, the most astonishing thing is not the scale of death, but the response of the survivors. Idolatry is not abandoned. Violence is not restrained, and corruption does not cease. Judgment has shaken the ground beneath their feet, but it has not broken their pride.
If judgment were only meant to destroy, all would be simpler. But its purpose is higher, to call man back to his Creator. And yet, even now, many close their ears and fortify their walls.
The roar of the 6th trumpet fades into an echo that seems to run through rivers, mountains, and deserts. Smoke covers the fields, the waters taste of death, and in the cities, the few who remain walk with their eyes cast down, as if afraid to look toward heaven. There is no celebration, no open weeping, only a harsh silence, heavy with foreboding. The Euphrates continues its course, but its banks feel heavier, as if the waters themselves carry a secret. In the deep, where neither light nor sound reach, something remains waiting. The judgment has spoken, but it has not spoken its final word. The distant echo of the sixth trumpet still vibrates in the depths of the air. There is no movement, no murmur. It is as if heaven itself were holding its breath. The heavenly hosts remain motionless, and the elders bow their heads, aware that what is about to happen has no precedent in the history of the universe. Amid that silence, a figure steps forward. It is the seventh angel. His footsteps make no sound, yet each one seems to shake the very framework of heaven. In his hands, he holds the final trumpet, and the weight of his mission is as great as the destiny it will seal. The angel raises the trumpet, and the instant the breath passes through the celestial metal, an indescribable sound invades creation. It is not just a blast, it is a vibration that travels through seas, mountains, and the earth's core. The heavens rumble, and the edges of the universe respond, as if every atom recognized the authority of that call.
This is not a call to war, nor a warning. It is the proclamation of an eternal fact. The kingdom has changed hands forever.
As the last echo fades, powerful voices rise from on high. The kingdom of the world has become the kingdom of our Lord and of his Christ, and he shall reign forever and ever. It is a chorus not born from a single place, but from all directions, as if all of heaven united in a single declaration. The words are not mere sound. They carry a force that pierces mind and spirit, awakening a certainty impossible to ignore.
It was as if eternity itself spoke. There was no doubt, no room for human interpretations. The kingdom belongs to him, and no one can take it away.
In response, the 24 elders before the throne fall face down. Their crowns drop to the crystal floor as they lift a prayer. We give you thanks, Lord God Almighty, who is and who was, because you have taken your great power and have begun to reign. It is not an empty praise. It is the recognition that the waiting has ended, that the plan designed before the foundation of the world has reached this crucial point.
We have kept these crowns not as trophies, but as testimony of your victory. Today, we return them, for all that we are and have is yours.
Then, the temple of God in heaven opens. It is not a slow, ceremonial act. It is as if an invisible door was suddenly torn apart. And there, at the heart of the temple, is revealed the Ark of his covenant. The radiance flowing from it cannot be described with known colors. It is more than light. It is the very presence of God manifest without a veil. The vision recalls the tabernacle of Moses and Solomon's temple, where the ark rested in the most holy place, inaccessible to all except the high priest once a year. But now there are no curtains, no walls, only the resplendent ark in full view of heaven and earth. Immediately, lightning bolts cut across the sky like spears of fire, followed by thunder that seems to tear the firmament apart. Voices resound, some proclaiming judgment, others singing victory. The earth shakes with an earthquake that distinguishes neither mountains nor plains. And from above falls hail. Not like passing rain, but as burning stones, bearers of a message no one can ignore.
I looked toward the sky and saw it open like never before. The hail struck with a force that was not natural, as if each fragment carried the sentence of an invisible judge.
Amid this display, the heavenly voices speak of wrath and reward. The time has come to judge those who destroy the earth, but also to give recompense to the prophets, the saints, and all who fear his name. This is not an arbitrary act. It is the execution of perfect justice, where nothing goes unanswered and no act of faithfulness goes unnoticed.
The judge does not forget. What was sown in tears is reaped today in joy. What was forged in blood is crowned today in glory.
In heaven, the proclamation of the kingdom is celebration, victory, and fullness. On earth, it is confusion and trembling. The nations are in turmoil. The powerful try to reinforce their domains, but the structures they built crack from the foundations. The cry of the peoples is not unanimous. Some rebel even more. Others fall to their knees, realizing that there is no wall that can withstand this declaration. The sound of the seventh trumpet is not simply an announcement. It is an irrevocable decree. It is not a project in progress. It is the proclamation of an eternal reality that has already begun. But the announcement carries weight. Whoever hears it cannot remain neutral. Either one surrenders to the king, or one opposes him.
The time to choose in silence has ended. What is declared today in heaven will resonate forever. There will be no second voice, no other call.
The echo of the trumpet still drifts over the nations, but there is no other sound to accompany it. The ark remains visible in the sky, radiating a glow that seems to pierce both clouds and hearts. Below, on earth, the hail melts into waters stirred by the earthquake, as if creation itself tried to calm down, but could not. There is no loud celebration, no open lament, only a silence heavy with meaning. The kingdom has been declared. And though the voice has fallen silent, its truth continues to spread, like a tide advancing slowly but unstoppably. The temple in heaven stands open. A golden radiance surrounds it, and from within emerge 7 angels. Their faces do not display human pride or rage, but an unshakable determination. Each carries a golden bowl, and in them there is no wine or water, but the very wrath of God, ready to be poured out. The silence that surrounds them is not emptiness, it is the weight of the final judgment. Humanity has crossed the line, and there is no turning back. Heaven is preparing to answer. They are heralds of a final act foretold since ancient times. Their garments shine like the sun, and in their eyes rests the fulfillment of centuries of waiting. They have witnessed the history of mankind, its empires, its oaths, and its betrayals. And today, each step they take across the sea of glass brings them closer to the moment when justice will no longer be a promise, but a reality. Their bowls echo the plagues of Egypt, but now the stage is the entire world.
The command does not come from my will, but from the throne. What is poured out is not resentment, but justice. And justice does not stop.
The first angel steps forward. With a firm gesture, he pours his bowl upon the earth. Instantly, malignant sores break out upon all those who bear the mark of the beast. These are not wounds that heal, nor pains that time can dull. They are living marks of judgment, visible to all, like a seal opposed to that of God. Before humanity can absorb the blow, the second angel pours his bowl into the sea. Blue turns to deep crimson, the stench of death fills the air, and every living creature in the sea perishes. There is no navigation, no fishing, only a silence broken by thick, blood-red waves.
I grew up seeing the sea as a source of life, and one day I woke up and saw it turned into a liquid graveyard. There were no gulls, no nets bringing anything back, only death as far as the eye could see.
Just as the Nile was stained in the time of Moses, now the seas become witnesses of judgment. But this time, there are no prior warnings. It is the fulfillment of what was decreed. The third angel advances, and his bowl is poured into the rivers and springs. Fresh water turns to blood, and the fountains that once refreshed cities and fields now become bitter and deadly. In heaven, a voice declares that this judgment is just, for the blood of the innocent has cried out from the earth. And now the executioner drinks his own punishment. The fourth angel rises and pours his bowl upon the sun. A wave of unprecedented heat envelops the earth. It is not the heat of summer or the desert. It is fire that clings to the skin, that burns even indoors. People cry out, but not to ask for forgiveness. They curse the name of God.
There is no shadow deep enough, no water that can quench this thirst. The sky does not answer, and I have no words left but screams.
The fifth angel pours his bowl upon the throne of the beast, and his entire kingdom is plunged into darkness. It is not the dimness of night, but a dense blackness that can be felt on the skin. People stumble, injure themselves, and amid the blindness, cries of despair and pain echo.
The darkness entered our homes, our markets, into ourselves. We could see nothing, but we felt something watching us. No one slept. No one breathed in peace.
It is the symbol of a kingdom that believed itself invincible, and now cannot even sustain its own light. The sixth angel pours his bowl upon the great river Euphrates. Its waters dry up, and what once seemed an impenetrable boundary now becomes an open road. Along it march the kings from the east, driven not only by human ambition, but by forces that do not belong to this world. 3 unclean spirits, resembling frogs, emerge from the mouths of the dragon, the beast, and the false prophet. They travel across the earth, seducing rulers and gathering them for the battle of that great day.
Your throne can be eternal if you march now. Victory is within your grasp, and heaven will not intervene.
But in heaven, the voice of the eternal resounds. All of this has been prepared for a specific hour, day, month, and year. There is no improvisation. It is the fulfillment of a millennia-old design. The seventh angel lifts his bowl. The final outpouring falls upon the air, and a loud voice from the throne declares, "It is done." What follows is an unprecedented cataclysm. Flashes of lightning and peals of thunder shake the heavens, and an earthquake so great that no city remains as it was. islands vanish, mountains crumble, and massive hailstones strike the earth. Humanity, instead of seeking refuge in God, curses him all the more.
I ran beneath roofs, but the roofs collapsed. I sought caves, but they caved in. The very sky seemed to hate us, and I could not understand why we were still alive.
The thunder fades, but the world is no longer the same. The seas do not regain their blue, the earth does not heal its wounds, and the air carries a strange silence, as if all creation were holding its breath. The bowls have been poured, justice has spoken. And yet, somewhere beyond human sight, the story still holds a whisper that has not been revealed. No echo of battle remains, no dust lingers in the air, no shadow dares to stay. The Lamb stands at the center of all creation. His light does not merely pour out, it floods, penetrates, transforms. No corner of the universe lies beyond his reach. Around him, countless multitudes fill a horizon with no limits. There is no human throne, no imperial voice, no blasphemy left to rise. The end has come, and with it, the beginning that will never end. The crowns of kings fall to the ground. The weapons of nations lie useless. The Lion of Judah, who was the slain lamb, conquers not by brute force, but by an authority that needs no debate. His victory is no surprise. It was foretold before the foundations of the world were laid. Every enemy, visible or invisible, vanishes before him. The hosts of darkness, which for centuries considered themselves invincible, now see the truth. Eternity does not belong to them.
I saw everything stop. The roar of war went out like a torch in the rain. And then I saw him, standing, untouched, bearing the same wound he once received, but now shining like a new sun. There was no cry of triumph, only silence, because all knew he had won.
A great white throne rises above all that exists. It is not made of marble or metal, but of a purity that admits no corruption. Before it, earth and even heaven itself recede. There is nowhere to hide. The books are opened. In them are written the works of every man and woman who has ever lived. Every word, every thought, every act. But there is another book, the Lamb's Book of Life. Whoever finds their name there does not fear but draws near.
I trembled. I knew who I was, I knew what I had done. But when he opened the book, I saw my name, not because I deserved it, but because he had written it, and I understood I had never been alone.
There is no error, no appeal, no injustice. The sentence is perfect. For some, it is the beginning of a life that will never fade. For others, the eternal separation from the very source of life. Then something unimaginable happens. Death itself is cast into the lake of fire. There will be no more graves, no more farewells. Tears, pain, and despair are banished forever. From that moment, every tear that ever fell is remembered, not for the sorrow, but as proof that it will never fall again.
I felt my chains fall, not chains of iron, but those that had bound my soul for years. Death turned away, and its shadow never touched me again.
A radiance appears in the sky, brighter than 1,000 sunrises. It is no star, no comet. It is a city. It descends like a bride adorned for her husband, and its beauty is beyond comparison. Its walls are made of jasper, its streets of pure gold, clear as glass. The foundations are decorated with precious stones of every color. Its 12 gates are 12 pearls, each carved from a single piece. There is no temple in it, for the Lord God Almighty and the Lamb are its temple.
When I walked through the gate, I knew I would never leave again. There was no sun, yet everything shone. The light came from him, and in that light there was no shadow of evil.
The nations walk by its light, and the kings of the earth bring their glory into it. Its gates never close, for there is no night there. From the throne of God and of the Lamb flows a river, pure and clear as crystal. It runs through the city's main street, bringing life wherever it goes. On each side stands the tree of life, bearing fruit 12 times a year, one for each month. Its leaves are for the healing of the nations.
I drank from the river, and it was as if everything that had ever hurt in me dissolved. It wasn't just water, it was life entering my bones.
There will be no more curse. The servants of the Lord will serve him and see his face, and his name will be on their foreheads. There is no night, no lamp, no sun, for the Lord God gives them light. His reign has no end, and his people know no fear. Every moment is fullness, every word is truth, every gesture is love.
I saw him, not with borrowed eyes, not in a vision, but face to face, and I understood that all the time I waited was worth eternity.
The entire universe breathes in peace. There is no hidden corner, no tear left unhealed. The Lamb, who was once wounded, reigns forever. His light crosses galaxies, seas, and hearts. Human history has found its end, and the eternal beginning has come. And in that light, there are no more questions, only the certainty that all is at last finished.